Greetings, Mandrake here. This is Mission 11, the Command Spire. On the difficulty Legendary with all skulls on, except for Bandana. Deathless. I'm currently carrying a full BR and a full shock rifle. The first part of this fight, at least the first two fights, are going to be all Sentinels. And then eventually move on into some banished enemies.
Do you have any idea what you're interfering?
When you reach the top of the lift, you have around 13 seconds from when your feet hit the ground to the emergence of the first two Sentinels. When you kill the first Sentinel, that will trigger the emergence of the next two Sentinels. I'm going to move over to this area, and there's a ledge I'm going to grapple up to. It'll give me cover for these first two Sentinels that come out, and I can get this first one with 3 shots through the drop wall before he gets his shield on. In some cases, and I really look for it, but I can't count on it, is for him to drop his weapon onto the ledge below, but it doesn't always work out. And the same with this one. I'll run the scan and see that it missed. So, it didn't work out getting one of the first two weapons. There's really not a lot of ammo to work with these 4. So the goal is to get this third one killed off before I move down. And I really don't want to shoot more than I don't want to spend more than 5 shots on these, this next grouping of Sentinels here. I think that was more than I'd planned on, but it will work out. So with this last one, I'm going to wait for this drop wall to drop away and reset. Once it resets, then I'm going to hop down and engage this last one. These last two really like to hide, and I was fortunate that that third one that I killed off that came out to play and showing himself. Because there's so many times I could spend several minutes just hanging up here on the ledge, and they just don't come out. So with this last one, it's best to engage one at a time. That's typically my theme. You get 2 of them, then you just get overwhelmed. And being that I've taken maybe a shot or 2, I want to try and get a few shots on them. And then grapple, melee, and I've got a shield.
Get me to that terminal and we can end
there
this
should be
now.
2 dropped shock rifles, and it'll turn out it will be enough ammo to go into the next fight. So I made sure that one is complete, reloaded, and full. Get the other one, get it reloaded, and then continue.
Ask him.
Chief? I guess not. Well, from what I saw, something bad happened. You were stuck. In pain. Trapped.
And he was going to delete me.
What? Chief? Really?
He doesn't talk much. He's more of what you might call a man of action. Especially when it comes to killing things. Right, Chief?
I'm going to drop one of the shock rifles and get the other one grappled up. And I'm going to touch up on it. It's full. I'm going to put a threat sensor out because there's 2 Sentinels floating around here in the middle. They don't detect me. They don't move around. And what I want to do is I want to engage and shoot them with their shields down, but when they're at least close enough to each other that the shock effect will affect both of them. So I can shoot one, and it'll extend to the second one. And being that I'm not getting that arrangement, so I'm going to wait for the drop wall to reset. And then try this again. At this point, I'm kind of getting a little impatient. However, yeah, here we go. So I'm going to get the shot, and I can see the second one to the right, clinching. It's best to get, I want to just use 3 shots. At best, I've actually fired 3 shots and killed both of them before. But it turns out, I think that was, what, 4 or 5. Because I ended up missing a shot. And this is where things get a little hectic and chaotic. I'm just thankful that the drop wall got reset when it did. It's unfortunate also that you couldn't get him killed with the 4 shots. I think if I had fired through him, I think because I fired through one of the damaged panels, that it didn't give the additional shock effect. So this last one, see that third one that came up and pushed up, that's not normally common. It can happen. Usually he just kind of hangs out to the right room off to the right, and I usually have to kind of go after him. And good thing is this one's moving up. I got my drop wall recharged, so I can use it now. See, this is the unfortunate thing. I waited a little long to do the grapple, and then on top of that, I grappled, and for some reason it released when I grappled him that second time. It works out best when these last 2 hang out in their room and I have to go after them. It allows time for the drop wall to recharge. So I should have 4 shock rifles that were dropped. I'm going to collect them.
Fine. Look,
and the goal
there's a
here
power
is
source.
to
Does that
collect
help?
3 fully loaded shock rifles and put them on the lift door that's going to open up once I get everything done here. So I want to get 3 of them first off, and then I'll get the power seed thrown out into this area, and the next fight will be with 3 sentinels. 2 of them will push up, and the third one will just kind of hang out to move off into another room. I'll go after them, and in the end, I want to take 5 fully loaded shock rifles up the lift with me. That'll last me through the end of pretty much the end of the mission, or not say the mission, but last me through up to the fight with the monitor. And I'm just kind of hopping around, looking around for all the shock rifles. I've done this playthrough several different times, and it's hard to remember where they were from restart to restart. So with these last 2, I'll get 1 fully loaded one and bring the spare with me for ammo.
Gravity lifts don't work without power.
And why doesn't it
you know?
grapple the weapon? Really frustrating. This is the area back here where I'll do my fight with these next 2 sentinels. These 2 coming up are aggressive, and they really will just come right after me. Now I find when you find and look at the sentinels from distance to know that they're going to engage you, you'll look for their color to kind of turn orange. See, as you see them right now, they're kind of yellowish, and they're right there at the very last instant you saw them turn orange, and that means that they've engaged you, identified you, and they're coming after you. And I only apparently I had to reload after 3 shots. Apparently I took some shield damage, probably from the previous fight. So now the shield is full, got my shock rifle full, and I'm going to go after this last sentinel off to the right. I'm going to drop a threat sensor on that pillar, that support structure. Usually hangs out right behind that. It can be in different areas or different spots in this room. And there's other oddities with the Sentinel wanting to push up. That's rare. This one, I decided this will be one time I'm just going to shoot and then stick him with the nade. Plasma nade. This one is different. It has a heat wave, and that'll come in handy with the next, the upcoming fight, or at least the berserkers that I'll encounter in the area up above. The majority of the sentinels you'll encounter are the ones that have shock rifles, and then it's rare that you'll get some of these others that have just the heat wave. So the more popular ones are the ones that have the shock rifle, and they are lethal. They present a very chaotic type of fight because they're unpredictable and they really do at random. Their aggressive natures are different, and the behaviors and things they do is different. It's hard to figure out what they're going to do and how to draw them into fights or control areas that you want them to go into and this and that. So they're real challenge. You get all these weapons that go up top. There's a rack with a shock rifle, not a shock rifle, a stalker rifle. In past, I would take it along, but then I'd find that there's not too many areas that I would use it.
Yes, before you say it, I know it needs to
So
be shut down.
that's one less weapon to have to carry
Look at
along.
it.
I find
It's
that
accelerating the
if I don't
reformation,
have enough
creating raw
shock rifle
materials
ammo,
and sending them out.
then I will bring along
repair
the
the ring.
stalker.
Obviously, or something more specific.
Something dangerous.
Here we go
Probably.
with the
Everything has the
grapple,
potential to
not
be
grappling
dangerous,
the weapon.
right?
So this little ramp that I'm looking at, there's two grunts. I didn't put the threat sensor down. There's a couple grunts that have a scripted patrol that they follow and walk around. So now that I got the last shock rifle, I'm going to carry it, switch to the BR, get my threat sensor down. This grunt, this is what I'm looking for, is I want this grunt walking up the ramp. He'll stop at the top of the ramp, kind of hang out, look around, takes a little time, and then he'll turn to the right and walk off and drop down. And that's what I'm looking for. Put my last threat sensor out. And so if I don't have a shield or anything like that, well, I'm going to melee this one anyway, but this ensures that I have a good shield. Just so adorable with him spinning his weapon, don't you think? And I was a little slow. And so the next thing here is to get this guy killed off. And I'm having equipment problems trying to put a drop wall down. And I can't get the drop wall to work. The equipment's kind of messed up. That was a real mess. The other problem is I absolutely need, or prefer to have a rocket launcher, at least a rocket launcher with minimum 2 shots. There's a Jackal Major to the left, a Jackal Major in the middle. Most cases there's going to be 3 skimmers. So I got the first 2, and then that was the third one. Then 2 grunts from the opposite side will then push up. So I took a little damage, so I'm going to save this last one and get a melee kill off him so I can get a full shield. All kinds of things kind of going weird there. Had a weird clamber thing going on that I didn't need. So the thing with the skimmers is they don't always drop their rockets, or the rockets don't always end up on the ground where you can collect them. They just, sometimes, some cases, I've actually watched in slow-mo, they just kind of, the rocket's in their hands, they just fired it, you shoot them, and the rockets just disappear. They don't even fall to the ground, they just like disappear. And it become a real problem, which would be a problem because when you open this door, you can have 2 berserkers charge through, and you don't really have it, and the rockets are going to be ideal for taking them out, and without that, then it's a bit of a problem. So the plan with the berserkers is use the heat wave along with a dynamo, and put a dynamo down where he gets shocked. I can remove their shield with the heat wave and then fire a rocket or 2. And I think I've got at least a minimum of 3 shots. And ideally, I want them in line so I can just hit the both of them with the heat wave. The drop wall is to ensure that the grunts don't just kill me with the disruptor or throw nades, and they're very good at doing that. So now it's just kind of a slow down fight where I can just kill these guys 1 or 2 at a time, put the drop wall down, and get kills on them. I'm going to go with shock rifle. 2 headshots will get the kill, and extra shock effect can damage those that are nearby. There is a Jackal Major in the back, so a total of 5 grunts and a Jackal Major. So that grunt off to the right and the left took damage, which meant I only had to shoot him once. This last one, I'm gonna go and get a melee. I don't like them when they're this far back in the room because the grunts in the next room can see me, throw nades, shoot with the disruptor. I don't want to. And fortunate there that probably 1 shot got me. I don't know if both of them did. Possibly both of them. But a 3rd one would have started eating away at my shield, and I would have been taking damage. So the next step here is I'm going to get these disruptors out of the way, maybe clear the bodies out of the way. Make room for me to move the stockpile. Being this shock rifle is been used, I'm going to put it into that space. And I try and keep separate the full shock rifles from the partials or used ones. And it turns out I have probably 1 rocket left. And it works out best if I have at least 1 rocket remaining. It would be better if there were more. This next room's going to have several grunts. And I believe 2 skimmers. And guarding the portal exit will be an elite. And that's what the rocket is for. The elite likes to hide behind a pillar. Kind of ducks in and ducks out. When he gets behind the pillar, then I can just pretty much shoot the face of the pillar and it can kill him. Which then takes out the a risky fight, having to dance around and try and grapple pound him. So in total, there's going to be 6 grunts and 2 skimmers and the elite guarding the portal. I'm getting myself ready to engage these 3 grunts that are going to be outside the door here. Get the drop wall down. Yeah, it seemed that first shot, I guess, didn't make contact or didn't hit him. I got those 3 down, and there's going to be 3 more. Get the next threat sensors out there to establish where all the remaining enemies are. I want to get one to far back to find out where the grunt is. Well, not the grunt, where the elite is. But I've got to take care of these grunts in the foreground. At least get one of those skimmers. The other one usually can hang out and cover where I'm not looking or seeing me. That's what I don't need, is for him to be out in the open, identify me, and then shoot rockets at me. Get that drop wall ready. I can get this grunt taken care of. Figure out what weapon I have out. And I got that last skimmer out of the way. Now I gotta figure out where that elite is. Now I can probably use the rockets. And there he ducks in. He's in a good spot. And bingo. And I think that's the last of the enemies. So now at this point, it's move the stockpile to the portal. That heat wave was partial or used. Luckily, the skimmers were able to drop those rocket launchers where I could find them. The elite's going to drop a partial heat wave, and so I will top off with the one I'm currently carrying, so that it will be full. This is my partial shock rifle used. I'll just go ahead and put it through the portal. And the one that's left there is a full one. And I have 3 more full ones. So my ammo is good. At least I have plenty of shock rifle ammo, and I will need it because there's a lot of grunts and brutes that I'll be using them on. It turns out that these will last me, and it will work out. And again, more grapple shenanigans. And once you're carrying the same weapon, it'll just pass through you, and I'll do the jump at the end once it gets close to me, and that way it will travel further. no need to bring along the spare heat wave. So I have everything I need. I'm going to move forward. It'll be a continuation of moving the stockpile forward. And always skip to the next chapter, as the next chapter will be within seconds or a minute or two of the next engagement. Getting the last of the shock rifles. This one's the partial used one. I'm going to place it outside the door. I don't plan on using it in this next room, which is going to have 5 skimmers, which would mean I should get 5 rocket launchers. But let's see how many I end up with. I think I just went 5 for 5. BR shots and got them, and what, 3 rocket launchers? Is that all I'm gonna get? And that's right, that's all I'm gonna get is 3 out of a possible 5. Now more of moving the stockpile. Rockets will come in handy in the next room because there will be an elite. And very similar to like the previous elite, he likes to hide behind a pillar. And when he does, then I can try and get him with the rocket launcher. But I also want to make sure I've cleared away any of the skimmers that will have eyes on me. Now with this grouping, I'm just going to move them along to the doorway and do the little grapple trick to sling them across the room. So this next room is going to have a skimmer off to the right, elite the back of the room, back center of the room, usually off to the left, and to the left of the room is going to be 3 skimmers. And to continue to the next room or next area is going to be a doorway, a door to the left. But as it turns out, instead of an elite, there's going to be a brute. So that's one of the... It's kind of not very common. It doesn't happen that often. Most of the time, it's going to be an elite instead of a brute. So this time I got the brute. And I think when you get the brute, you get one extra skimmer. I got that room cleared. Now move the stockpile again. I touched up on the shock rifle. So the one I'm moving now, I believe, will be considered a partial or used, and I'll have 3 full ones. So with the rocket launcher I currently have, I'm going to toss it down there, that it's full, and I'm going to gather up the other rocket launchers. At best, I want to move along 2 full rocket launchers. I plan to, sure, I'll use them along the way, because there's going to be plenty of them. But I find it necessary to take along 2 full rocket launchers for the long pillar floating conveyor belt hallway where all the pillars are kind of moved above you. There's some encounters with sentinels that will come in real handy there, and then you have at the very end of this journey, there's a portal that's guarded by an elite, and there's times where, even though cowbell, boom, doesn't really do a whole lot with them. So it's, I've had times where one rocket or 2 rockets will take them out, be like behind a pillar, and there's times where I could fire 6 rockets and not kill them. And so it's to ensure I have enough rockets and enough options. This next room, small room, is going to have 2 skimmers and 2 brutes. Their arrangement can really vary. But I want to try and get the skimmers first, and then I'll engage the brutes. That was difficult because I think he was standing behind that deployable shield, and so the shots weren't counting. And there's such inconsistencies with the shock rifle on the brutes. I've seen as few as 3 shots will get the kill, and I've had sometimes where it's been 6 shots or more to have to get the kill, and it just you know, really kind of baffles me. So those guys were easy enough, not much of a problem. And so now back to moving the stockpile, and I'll gather, should be 4 rocket launchers. In most cases, yeah, I'll end up with 4 rocket launchers here, and I think in most cases, with those skimmers, their rockets drop and they end up on the floor. So I'll be moving the stockpile. The next room is going to take a little bit more time than these other rooms, and it'll be the last fight before moving up into the floating pillar conveyor hallways. this next room is going to have a total of 6 grunts, 2 jackal majors, and 2 brutes. 3 grunts to the right, 3 grunts to the left, 1 jackal to the left, 1 jackal to the right, and the 2 brutes at the exit passageway. I want to try and pick off one of the open, grunts that kind of stand out in the open to the left and the right. The other grunts kind of stand in cover. There will be one off to the right, say that one right there that I got. He kind of stands in the open, and then one off to the left gets in cover but does step out. So I want to try and pick off 2 to the left and 2 to the right. And then I can try and pick off the jackals and then work on the brute. See that brute behind that column? That's what I'm looking for. If I want to use the rockets on him, that's ideal. However, it doesn't always work out like it does with the elite. And in this case, he just kind of tucked and rolled and dove off. But he went right back. And we'll try it again. I'll try it from the right side. And it looked like it got him. And without the drop wall down, you got these grunts that will step out from time to time and peck at me with the disruptor. Now I'm down to the 2 grunts and brute. I do want to save one of the grunts. Yeah, that could have ended my run right there. It turns out he hit a barrier with the rockets. So now both of the brutes are down. I just need to take care of the last 2 grunts. I can easily, I'm fine with just killing one of the grunts and then saving the last one for the shield. And being that these guys are opposite sides of the room, makes it a little difficult and a little awkward to try and get a shot and shoot one of them. It doesn't matter to me which one, it just be one of them step out, but kind of awkward. And then now you can start throwing names. Worked out on that one. Now I can just work my way over to this one here and punch him out. Guarantee me a shield. And the game is not allowing me to clamber on this for some reason.
Forget the banished.
Yeah, that was the last thing I needed for him to shoot me, and now I have shield damage. So hopefully it'll work out, because the next fight is these 2 berserkers in the hallway. And the trouble with that is I want to ensure if I'm going to shoot them, I plan to shoot them with rockets, that I don't shoot them with rockets too close, because I have shield damage and I don't need my run ending almost something silly like shooting rockets and them, cowbell and boom, taking over. Can ruin things real easily. The next fight after the berserkers is a low-risk fight. I'll be able to pick off the enemies and save a grunt and be able to punch him out for a shield. So I'm in good. Even though I may have shield damage, I'm still in good shape. So I'm going to move the stockpile and get set up for these berserkers. Berserkers is pretty much the same as the first encounter with Berserkers. I'm going to use the Heat Wave to remove their shield, or put a dynamo down to freeze them. Heat Wave to remove their shield, and rockets to take them out. And get them in line so that I can take the shields out of both of them. And that worked out well. It was well executed. Glad that worked out like it did. So once again, back to moving the stockpile. There's a lift. It's kind of a long hallway. Kind of go down the long hallway with the stockpile, and at the end of this hallway is going to be a lift, a Grav lift, and at that Grav lift there's a 2-shot skewer that will also take along, because that works out well. It's almost like kind of a interesting combo that I would use with the Sentinels. Remove the shield and then switch to the skewer, and one single shot will take care of a Sentinel. So a lot of weapons to move. It's going to be a large stockpile for this run. So this is the last of the stockpile, and in this room, up on this, this is the second deck and the third deck of this room, there's a hidden cinder shot. And again, it's another weapon that's for contingency or problematic enemies. So in this case, if there's an elite in a particular spot, that sometimes it's an elite or sometimes it's a brute. I find this elite, and with the way the scripting is and boundaries that are set up for either the brute or the elite, he's in a spot that's kind of hard to get, kind of hard to engage. And plus there's also a trigger line that engages or calls out a couple sentinels. And so instead of getting into a risky grapple pound dance with the elite, I can take the cinder shot and in 1 or 2 shots get him killed with low risk. And with the brute, it's not really a problem. I can just headshot him with like a shock rifle. Because the brute is going to be a brute that carries a skewer, so he's a brute sniper. The cinder shot also comes in handy that if I find the elite at the end of this, the long, twisty, big, jagged hallway at the portal, he's going to be difficult and avoid all the rockets. Then the cinder shot can finish him off and be a low-risk solution for him. So continuing on with moving the stockpile, and around the bend of this hallway is going to be the next fight. Going to be 5 grunts and a brute with a rocket launcher. Or actually, it's not a rocket launcher. This brute's going to have a sentinel beam. That way I'll add to the ammo of the sentinel beam that I'm moving along. As I mentioned earlier, this next fight with the grunts and the brute is kind of a low-risk fight. I've got shield damage, so I'll be able to kill off all but one grunt and take out the brute with minimal risk, and that way I can get my shield back with the last grunt. Threat sensor out, identify where the grunts are. Ideally, I'd like to take out 3 of them with headshots. Being I'm undetected, their shields are down, and so they're simple headshots. It just takes a little time for them to walk around and get the arrangement of getting 2 of them. I get those 2 and the one on the right, there I got my 3. I've had one occasion where all 5 of them were in the open, and it was able to get all 5 with like 3 shots. Some of them were close enough together where a single shot killed 2 of them. Now they got the 4 grunts down, the brute is down. I can move forward and get my shield back from this last grunt. Heard by the sound of my shield charge that it was really low. So more of moving the stockpile through these hallways. It's going to take time moving the stockpile. I do utilize pretty much a majority of these weapons. I may not use all the ammo. I may not have a weapon that I use here or there. It's all for contingency. It's all for the various situations that come about, and with the weapons I bring, give me an ideal solution for what gets presented. guess the last thing I need to mention is the pulse carbine. I haven't talked about it. That's going to be very necessary for the very last fight of this mission. That's up at the top of the elevator, at the observation deck, on the top of the spire. That's why I bring that along, is for that fight. I found the shock rifle just wasn't able to, it was just too slow. In that fight at the top of the spire, even though it doesn't seem like much, on paper it doesn't look difficult, whenever I look and experience it, it didn't seem like a problem, but it has been a particular problem with this mission, which I'll get into later. However, the next encounter is going to be a couple grunts, one to the left and one to the right, and I'm going to move my stockpile up to a certain point, and then I will address them. It's a lot of weapons. He's on the other side of this wall, straight ahead. Put the threat sensor out, put the one on the right, see where he is, and then the one on the left. And ideally what I'm looking to do is I'll move to the one on the left when he got his back turned, then I'll run up and punch him in the back. And it seems kind of odd, but I guess the other one hears it and goes running off. However, it doesn't seem like he alarms the other enemies up ahead. Because after these two, there's three grunts kind of in the middle area, and off to the right is going to be the brute instead of the elite, which is how it's going to turn out. So the ideal situation would be to take out both of these grunts without the remaining enemies being alerted, which means I could hop up and headshot one or two of them and not have to use much shock rifle or have any kind of risky business with the grunts or the brute. But I find not to even bother with trying to do too much of a surprise. I'm going to get this one grunt. The other one is going to be, he's not going to alert anyone, but he'll be in alert mode, but I believe his shield will be down. It'll look like it's up, but I've actually headshot him, which means he doesn't have a shield on. So I find it very strange. But doing that will then alert the remaining enemies, and it doesn't matter if they know or not that I'm coming. I just don't want to have to count on being the surprise. I can do the fight without making too much of trouble. Once again, establishing where they are. This guy here is going to get turned around, and I'll be going after him. Done his about face. And he saw me at the last moment. Usually, that's kind of unusual. Typically, I can get up and back smack him without him knowing about it. And I think because of that announcement he made, I think remaining enemies knows what's up. Well, it doesn't really matter too much, as I mentioned, so I'm just going to move up the stockpile to the next stage, the next area. I don't want to move up too much because that barrier that I'm kind of going around, there's to my left, that barrier kind of like right there is now to my right. You pass through the middle part of the barrier, you pass it, and there's a trigger line there that will summon out 2 sentinels. So I'll get set up to engage them once I get the stockpile moved. So I'm not going to mess around with the grunts. I'm not going to mess with the grunts and the sentinels at the same time, so I'm just going to do one at a time, one fight at a time. See the brute sniper to the right. 3 grunts in the middle, and the one that was here on this right-hand side, he's in the middle, pounding his chest. That guy can just step out and just give him a headshot. I'll get him taken care of first. If I had to use the shock rifle on him. There's this barrier here on my right. And I'll be getting close to that trigger line, and I just want to take on the 2 sentinels. Now, they seem to kind of have a delayed summoning with the second one. So I get the first one that comes out when I cross the trigger line. The second one comes out kind of in a delayed fashion. They're across it, you can hear them come out. Try and get one shot on them, kind of just get some kind of damage prior to the shield being up. So I just want to shock rifle this one and get him killed off. And the second one is out. A couple of partial hits. Try and get him finished off here. He's taking a lot of shots. Trying to get the timing when he shoots so I can shoot. Alright, so now the sentinels are done. At least these first 2. I want to get in position to take out the 3 grunts. Headshot him with the shock rifle. Man, he's in a position where I can't really see him. And I got this last grunt. The last thing I need is to be spending time to try and get a line of sight on the brute, and the grunt step out and stick me with a nade. So, a bit of a slow play. Still a ways to go. Don't need to do anything too risky or have any kind of oversights. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and take care of this grunt. And so what I'm saying about in that area where it's either going to be the brute, which what I have, or an elite, there's some kind of boundary set up for him, so he's not going to push out of that area. He can't hop up onto that deck, whatever that area is where the shields are. He can't climb up and get up there early. The elite will, but they don't pursue or go beyond that area. And pretty much where he's standing, kind of in that center part of that area where that gully goes down, in the center part is the trigger line for the next sentinels. Yeah, that didn't work out well. I think he got a shot on me, and I ended up missing with the shock rifle. That was too many shots to get him killed off. Okay, now that he's done, I'm going to get set up for the next encounter, which will be 2 sentinels. And they'll be straight ahead to the left, which is where they're going to come out. It is time to move the stockpile. You can skip to the next chapter for the next engagement. While I move the stockpile, I can take a moment to talk about a difficult upcoming encounter. As I mentioned, the next fight is with 2 sentinels. After that is a fight with 2 brutes with rocket launchers. Then there will be an emergence of 4 sentinels. It is this fight with 4 sentinels that is tough. I'll cross a trigger line that summons the first 2, a delay, then 2 more. 3 of the 4 will be aggressive and attack, while the 4th will fall back to the portal area. I've had a few runs in at this encounter. They are very, very difficult because they swarm, they surround, and they are unpredictable. The plan I have to try and reduce their swarm ability is to use rockets on the first sentinel that emerges, as in I'll fire them and destroy it as it emerges, and it not even get a chance to get involved in the fight. I will fall back into the prior area. This will create separation between the two pairs, even though one of them has already been killed. That leaves one remaining in the first pair. That one is going to be one that's going to be pursuing and looking for me. One of the remaining pairs, one of those two is going to fall back and protect the portal, with leaving the other one just to kind of hover around without anything to pursue. And that way I'll get them separated and I'll be able to focus on one at a time. As you saw that pause, I needed to take a quick bathroom break, and I had an item I needed to work on getting thawed out for dinner. I needed it was like a 4.5 minute pause. Back to the moving of weapons and getting ready for these sentinels. This next encounter, when I cross the trigger line here in the middle part of this little walkway, is going to summon 2 sentinels. You see the aperture for the first one I'm looking at with my threat sensor out. I'm going to use rockets to try and kill off the first one. And the timing's got to be right. Once the trigger line is crossed and you hear the door open, I need to fire within a second. Got that one. And if you wait too long, the second rocket won't kill him. And you fire too early, then rocket goes off before he comes out. So the second one's hanging out around this corner here. I'll just use the shock rifle to get him taken out. He also doesn't know I'm around here for some reason. Just kind of hovering. I'm gonna have to step out. Hey, I'm over here, kill me, I'm here, kill me. And 5 shots, that one's down. Checking my shield, shield is good. Now I'm going to get ready for the next encounter. The next one is going to be a couple brutes. So I'm going to take along the shock rifle and the heat wave. Similar to the berserkers, but not enough. I'll use the heat wave to remove the shield of the brute, and then follow up with the shock rifle, the headshot on him. I'll first want to move these hard light coils and get them moved out of the way. I don't need any accidents, and I also don't need any accidents because there's a trigger line. It's kind of, see these, well, when you get there, there's these 2 barriers. You see I'm passing through these first set, and the second set of barriers, the middle of the barriers, there's a trigger line that summons out the next 2 sentinels. So I don't want to do that yet. I'm just going to take out the brutes first, then the sentinels. So I've got eyes on the brutes, the heat shockwave. That worked out. And for some reason, somehow, that also killed the second one. Fine. What gets difficult, what usually happens is the second one typically should move up to where the first one was, but there's times where he doesn't and hangs back in the back, which means I'm just going to leave him, take out the sentinels, and then I go after him after the sentinels. Another short pause. That pause was just a minute. I got that edited down. So now here's the hard part of the fight. This is where the run, I've had the run end a few times, is on this upcoming fight with 4 sentinels. As I mentioned, there's a trigger line. Trigger line will summon out 2 sentinels, and then I guess there's a delay for it to summon out the other 2. And as it mentioned, I want to get the first one with rockets. The second one, the next 2 will work their way into this area, but sometimes the second one, like the third one, will hang around. And that was good. Fortunate that I got that one. So one of them is going to push forward, as you can hear the summoning of 2 others. This one's going to hang out in that area, looks around, and so he's going to be a special challenge because the second one can get involved. And absolutely did not want to use the skewer on that. And now the drop wall is gone. And I missed with the skewer. This is where things usually go sideways in little cases like that. I was able to pull it together and managed to pull that one off. Got the third one killed. Really kind of sweating that one out. So the fourth one is now hanging out at the home stretch, the last run of the hallway, and there he's up in the ceiling. That's the first time I've seen him hanging around up there. As far as doing these runs in this manner, I've had other runs where I think I may have seen him up there before. I mean, like other runs, as in not LASO type runs. This runs I've been doing, trying to do LASO, Deathless, no Bandana. It's first I've seen him up there. And I prefer that because he usually hangs out behind a column or a pillar and doesn't see or know that I'm around. And once again, I used the skewer. I wasn't ready to use the skewer. I just wanted to remove the shield with the shock rifle and switch to the skewer and fire. Which, by the way, when trying to do so, there's a bit of delay when you switch to the skewer because it has to get set up and on your shoulder, and it takes longer than with any other weapon. You have to kind of wait on it. So this last segment, the last part of the run here, there's 2 skimmers and an elite, and what I'm looking to do is kill off the elite with the rockets. He'll hide behind a column or a pillar, and I can just get him with the rockets. But I found there's been other runs where I've tried that same method that's been effective and has worked well. There were times I fired 6 rockets and I don't know if it even did any damage to him. Doing the same method, and it just seemed like it did nothing. So that's why I bring along 2 rocket launchers, plenty of them, and the cinder shot, so that I'm equipped and ready to take care of them, because I don't want to have to get into a melee battle with them. I don't want to have to dance around with that and take shield damage. So I'm looking at the weapons I want to bring along, and I figure I'll just go ahead and take them along for the final battle with the monitor. It won't necessarily be the final battle, but the weapons I want to take forward for at least the final run, final stretch. which will be the BR, which I'm getting now, the pulse carbine, the sentinel beam, and I'll have a shock rifle. That will be the 4 weapons I take with me beyond it through the portal. For this upcoming fight, I would prefer to kill the elite first, so that if I have some shield damage, I can save one of the remaining skimmers, and I have a plan for getting my shield back off of one of those. So there's 3 skimmers instead of 2. And I took damage. Seemed like it hit that barrier. And I guess I'm lucky it didn't kill me. With cowbell and boom. I'll headshot the 2. And I guess I'm kind of, yeah, I shouldn't kill that one. But I didn't. And see if that elite's gonna get into a place where I can get him with the rockets. But he's pushed up. He's not in his usual spot. He's usually much further back around the portal. And there's usually a pillar to the left or a pillar to the right, and he likes to hide behind it. But in this instance, he is pushed up beyond that and doesn't appear to want to fall back. But it turns out that rocket shot got him. And I'm really satisfied and pleased with that. That really going to help this part out. Now with this guy, I'm going to throw out a dynamo, and he's in an open area, so he's got rockets and can kill me easily. So I want to see if I can. Yeah, he sees me, so he's throwing rockets. So here we go. This is so very risky here. I want to put a dynamo out, freeze him. And then I can punch him. Hit that headshot. And I'm good. Full shield. So now what's left is just move the 4 weapons in through the portal. So I'm carrying the BR, and I'll juggle these 3, get them through the portal, and get the monitor fight going.
Are you two done yet?
Totally.
I didn't bother to pick up
The spire.
So
the
did
dynamo,
I,
so
mostly.
good thing is in this
We're nearly at the
hallway
top.
you've got 3 different nades
Good, because
laying out
something is
that I
being
can
built.
collect.
Well, rebuilt.
What is it?
Something big.
Now I'm going to leave behind the BR and the pulse carbine up here on this ledge. And I'm going to move them off to the side here, because when you grapple back, the last thing I need is to, when I jump across and grapple, if you grapple a weapon, I'm going to fall to my death. And that is the absolute last thing I need. Making it this far.
I regret to inform you that this would be our last
Fill up the sentinel beam.
Oh, good. Him again.
Get the threat sensor out so I know where he's at, and then I'm going to start working on one of his arms. It really doesn't matter, but I think I'm going to start with the upper left one, because I think sometimes the lower ones don't present themselves where you can shoot them. See how they're folded up? So I'll start with the upper one.
about this, honestly.
And I think it's usually in the beginning where I have to get that, what he's got. Now I want to, with every time I'm going to run over here, punch him to make sure I've got a shield, that I haven't taken any kind of silly unknown damage. Now with the first arm, you're going to get 1 sentinel reinforcement take out the second arm, you'll get one more sentinel reinforcement. Those numbers increase. Once you get the third arm, there'll be 2, and the fourth arm, there'll be 2 sentinel reinforcements.
He has
And
friends.
one of the problems with, or the issues that come up with this, is knowing where the sentinels are when they get summoned and come out, because the last thing you want to do is get caught in between the two. So my thing here is to drop wall, shoot them 2, maybe 3 times, and finish them off with the sentinel beam, and move on, because that guy, even though the monitor here seems to move slowly, his pace can really kind of pick up, and especially when you're not paying attention and you're focused on something else, he'll be behind you before you know it. So I don't need to be killed by this death ray while trying to take on a sentinel. So that's the second one. There's going to be one more sentinel that gets summoned, as I heard off kind of behind me to my right. I want to get around the corner so I can just take him on face to face and not have to deal with both of these guys at the same time. I gotta figure out where they are. It's always such a big unknown. I want to draw him in closer. Don't need, and I'm always looking over my shoulder where the other one is. Or the, as in the other one, as in the monitor. That threat neutralized. Reload my weapons. Top off the ammo. Get a threat sensor out, figure out where the monitor is. He's around the corner there, you can hear him. So the next arm that comes off, there's going to be 2 sentinels coming up, that's going to come out, and that's where things get real dicey. Deaths, even though this can be done without dying. I've had some deaths when I've gotten trapped in between the monitor and the sentinel, or get trapped in between 2 sentinels.
This configuration is less than ideal.
Punch him. Make sure I got a shield. The last thing I need is get caught between 2 sentinels. So these guys are aggressive. They really hum and fly around and try and flank you and get around you and get around the drop wall and stuff like that. Oh, he tagged me. Tag me. And that was really close. That was risky because he was coming out, and I knew that was probably gonna be close. Try and shoot me with his death ray. And here's the other one around the corner here. I can hear him. Hear him humming. And I got the monitor coming up behind me, so I gotta be quick. Got that worked out, so we got those 2 down. Now 1 more arm to go. I get this last arm, and there'll be 2 more sentinels. Usually I get 4 shots and finish it off with the sentinel beam. He's starting to shoot those rockets, and those rockets are lethal. You get killed by those. I should have a shield, but I'm still going to come over here and make sure. I can hear them off to my behind me and to my left, so my 6 and my 7, 8 o'clock. Oh, I think he's back. I can hear the other one, so I can hopefully get my shield back from this one. Gotta be quick, and I'm not gonna get my shield back. And that was unfortunate. He shows up and fires his death ray through the drop wall, which wasn't even facing the right way to begin with. So yeah, so I don't have a shield. And that presents a real special problem because there won't be getting my shield back from him. I am not going to risk trying to punch him up close, because I think he can just instant kill you if you get too close. I don't have much of it, and then there's no stunning him. I think I try a dynamo. A dynamo doesn't stun him. And so I know this last fight, I really just kind of write it off that I stand 0 chance of completing the final fight up on the observation deck, because I have tried it probably a dozen times, and it seems like every time something just really, you know, wrong. It seems like I hadn't even practiced it, and I've spent many times practicing it. I even had a run where I went 10 tries and killed off and succeeded all 10 times. But then when I go through and play the game and I have the one chance doesn't work out, and it's like I hadn't even practiced. Things just arrange differently, plays out differently. So the method here to get him killed off, it's just a bit of a slow play. He comes around the corner, and I'll shoot him with the sentinel beam in his eye, and then just back away before he can shoot. And it's just try and just not be risky about it. When I get a drop wall, I'll put a drop wall down, and I'll have a little bit of extra damage that can come of that. And I find it unusual when he fires his death ray and then turns around and fires it a second time back to back. That is highly unusual. So I'm looking to see if I can get a drop wall down. I'll get the extra damage, shock damage, and move on. I'll get around the corner, and I'll get a second chance to do it. So just kind of slow and easy. Don't want to do anything risky. Make sure I get shots on him and get away. Getting and whittling his health down. Looking to want to do one more drop wall. Fill up the sentinel beam. I didn't like how that worked out. I was having a hard time with my aim. He's got that death ray going again. Yeah, I have no shield. If I even get touched by it, I'll be incinerated. He's a little distant. Wait till he gets closer. Some good damage dealt. Good set of damage dealt. I thought I had his health down, but strong bugger. And now he's just kind of hanging out, not pursuing. And that was probably why, because he was at the end of his thread. So I have really low expectations going into this next fight.
There should be an elevator.
It has been so very difficult, and even though I don't see it as a difficult fight, Didn't seem to be particularly challenging. There are challenges to it. It's always been difficult to try and get through it because I just have just the one chance, and even if I have a death and then I stick around and practice on it, you know, back to checkpoint, try it again, I'll get the enemies killed, I'll survive, and get through it. And I'll do it several times to make sure I get the method down. However, the arrangement of the enemies and their placement where they are vary from playthrough to playthrough. So going forward, I'm taking the BR and the pulse carbine. You can't take any weapons with you. You can put them on the elevator, but it goes into the game loads. It does some kind of loading, which takes and resets everything. It resets your what nades you have selected. It does maintain and keep what weapon you have out as your primary, and then it resets your equipment back to the grapple. I'm just getting myself set up and ready to go for this last part. No shield. There is no room for error. The observation deck is the same square room from the first monitor fight. There's going to be 2 brute snipers with skewers in the back by the plinth, along with a grunt and a mule. They're scripted to stay in that area. 3 grunts in the middle, 1 grunt when Jackal Major to the right side, 1 grunt when Jackal Major to the left side. My typical plan. First, I crouch and move to the back of the elevator to avoid detection. Throw out a threat sensor to the left middle and 1 to the right. I want to move undetected to the right side for cover to get a line of sight on the grunts in the middle. I want to get 1, 2, or 3 kills on those grunts, deploy a drop wall, and then try and kill off the 2 snipers. The plan went wrong because I had the wrong weapon out. I didn't get to see the snipers, and I noticed that grunt off to my right flank was getting a line of sight on me. If he gets 2 shots on me, I'm dead. So I had to get him killed off, and then I'm going to get that right flank cleared off and then move my attention back to the middle and wherever the snipers are. It's a risky move what I'm doing, moving, because I don't know where the snipers are, and they could easily see me, and they are shooting at me. And it's good I got that drop wall down in time, because that Jackal would have probably killed me with the Mangler. There's 1 sniper down. And 2 snipers down, and now I am in good shape. Even though I don't have a shield, all that's left is the grunt and the mule. So what I plan to do is to save the mule for the melee to get my shield back, and I'll kill off the grunt ultra. I was looking to move to the right, however, I didn't. That puts the mule in front of me first, so I want to go to get the grunt ultra first. Creeping my way up, trying to use the cover. I cannot take 2 shots of any weapon or it'll kill me. Now he's got that drop wall messed up. Get the shot, got the kill. He drops a nade that kills the mule. Are you kidding me? So no shield, and now I have to take on 3 phantoms without a shield. And it's starting, because here I am just literally stunned that this has happened. And they're already shooting at me. And so my method or technique is shoot 2 rockets and then follow it up with a skewer shot. And like, where's the skewer shot? There it goes. So there's the first phantom. Then 2 of them come down. And these guys are going to be really aggressive and shooting at me.
Another phantom, please.
This is really nerve-wracking. I am really sweating this out. He's going to flank off to my left here. I think I took a shot or 2 from plasma. My shield is, or not shield, my health is holding on. Please don't shoot me. Oh my goodness. That second one is just probably 1 shot away from blowing up. rocket's reloading. Hey, he's going to swing around and flank me on the left. Give me a drop wall, please. And one rocket got him, one missed, and I followed up with the skewer. And I was able to stay in cover long enough for him to build up to detonation and blow.
Guess that's done.
And
We're safe.
there was
For
no
now.
chance. I really had no way of pulling that off, and somehow I did it. So going forward, since I didn't bring the shock rifle with me, I'm going to take a skewer, and I want to make sure that its ammo is loaded and full and maxed out. Should be 8. I'll have a skewer with 8 shots. VR will be full. And that will take me into repository. And repository is just going to begin with a whole bunch of sentinels. So the skewer can come in real handy with taking out the sentinels if it works out. At least that's the plan. There will be a shock rifle and sentinel beams. So winding this one down. So I just finished off the Command Spire, legendary with all skulls on except for Bandana, deathless. And not only that, this last fight without a shield. So look forward to joining me on the next mission, Repository.